All right, welcome back to Two-A-Days. I'm here with Jared Folks. He is the coordinator of strategic initiatives for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Former collegiate football player, actually holds a record for longest time in the NCAA, 8 years. So that's pretty cool. Can offer some unique perspectives in that arena. But thank you for being here, Jared. And to start us off, describe your recruiting process, how you landed up at the school you went to, and then kind of talk about your unique college experiences as 8 years in the NCAA.
Yeah, well, 8 years ago. So it was a long time ago, but it was really, I appreciated relationships. I think that was the biggest thing I was looking for in my recruiting process. And it kind of speaks to, I came to Nebraska with Matt Rhule.
Okay.
He's the one who recruited me to Temple 8 years ago. So him being genuine, having that relationship built through time. It was one of those things where I met him beginning of my junior year. We spoke, and it was never a pitch. I was never having to be sold to come to Temple. It was more so reasons why not coming to Temple. How things would be different for me.
Mm-hmm.
So just having that genuine relationship, that was the premise of my recruiting process. But also having somebody stick through me through tough times. Mm-hmm. I had a couple issues in high school with my GPA and a couple discipline issues. Mm-hmm. So just having that foundation of trust and accountability, but also grace, where he was able to stick with me and count on me to turn the corner once he brought me on campus. I think all of it's about development. That's what Coach Rhule is all about. So just relationships and knowing that I was going to be developed as a man as well as a student athlete in the football program as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you started out at Temple. Yep. You didn't stay there though, right?
No.
You transferred. Talk to us about your transfer process. The transfer portal is big nowadays. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about what you went through there and your experiences at other colleges.
Transfer portal was not around for my leaving. The offensive coordinator at Temple was now at East Tennessee State.
Okay.
And that's where I ended up. So it was, again, relationships, having that relationship with a coach who had moved universities, gave me an opportunity to find a home down in Tennessee. I'd never been there. I didn't visit. I just showed up one day, just drove down and started class 2 days later. So the transfer process was rushed, but it was best case scenario. I had another chance to go to a Division I institution and compete, pursue my master's degree after I graduated from Temple. So it wasn't as relationship based as Temple was. It was more so I knew someone, I went out on a limb, and it worked out great for me.
Gotcha. So you spent 8 years in the NCAA, right?
Yep.
Talk to us about that, and talk to us, maybe give some tips. There's a lot of 5th years. I know the baseball team here at Nebraska has some 6 years. What kind of role do you have to assume when you are that 5th, 6th, maybe 7th and 8th year player in your case? Maybe a leadership role. Talk to us kind of about that process and how you approached your collegiate athletic career towards the back end.
Yeah, I think when you're in those 6th, 7th, and 8th years, you have no choice but to be a leader. Mm-hmm. You may not be the guy, because you may not be one of the most productive players on the team, but you have an obligation to 18, 19, 20-year-olds as a 22, 23-year-old male or female to exhibit the qualities of a functioning, grown member of society. Mm-hmm. So just having that presence about yourself, and the experiences that you've been through already should serve as a teaching tool in everything you do for your fellow teammates. But for me, it was like I almost got to do, so 8 years, I got to do everything twice.
Yeah.
Like 5th year was like year 1 for me again, and like 6th was sophomore, and 7th was junior. So it was really just taking advantage, looking back and seeing all the things I didn't do, all the things I needed as a freshman or sophomore, and trying to provide those things for the freshmen and sophomores that were part of my team.
Gotcha.
And I think the biggest thing, especially for your starting before you're a 5th year or a graduate student or a senior, is networking.
Okay.
Like here at the University of Nebraska, like Will Risso has the opportunity to go meet with our vice chancellor, who is Trev Alberts of University of Nebraska, which if you're just walking down the street as even a former student athlete, it's going to be hard to do. Mm-hmm. And the type of influence and connections that Trev has is not common to have access to as just a person.
Definitely.
So using your platform and your privilege right now as a student athlete to network, build your brand, get in front of people who can put you in front of people, and trust that the person that they're referring. So when they refer Rizzo, it's like, yeah, I can vouch for this guy. He's this and he's that. And when it's coming from someone like Trev Alberts or even Keith Zimmer or Dennis LeBlanc, like has a different weight to it. And it carries you further in life than the degree from Nebraska will or your athletic ability.
Great. So you kind of answered that question right there, talking about networking in the college athletic space. What about your time in football do you think prepared you for life after sport? You know, you talked about the networking. What about maybe like the team culture, the leadership roles that like helped you carry it into your job today?
This is it's hard to replicate the championship standard that you get from a sport, especially moving into a business-like area. The atmosphere is still like you want to succeed. You have metrics. You have things that you want to do as a business, but the do or die mindset that you have in sport is hard to replicate. So I think the biggest thing is separating emotion from reality. You know, did you get talked to a certain way because you didn't perform? Are you going to be upset about it? Are you going to internalize that and say, well, that person doesn't like me because X, Y, and Z, or is it because you just didn't get the job done? So having that mindset going into the workspace of, I'm here to do a job, I'm graded off my performance. Yes, I'm a person, yes, I'm a human, but everyone's a human. So it's like, how can I perform to the best of my ability in this space without making excuses and being accountable for what I'm doing? So I think that's the biggest thing I've taken from sport, especially football. It's everyone has tough things going on. And it's not about ignoring them or discrediting them, but it's about working through the things.
Okay, interesting. So you're the coordinator of strategic initiatives here at Nebraska. Talk to us about your day-to-day responsibilities. What do you do here at Nebraska? What are you in charge of? Kind of walk me through that.
So here, I just transitioned. I worked in football and player development, and that was, again, a student-facing role, trying to provide student athletes with the best chance to succeed by putting resources in front of them that will help them. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. It's finding the strategic part of my role is to find new ways to expose our student athletes and educate them to the world around them, which they'll be a part of when they're done here. Like, we're in a bubble as student athletes. Like Memorial Stadium, everything you need, your food's here, your academics are here, the money that you get is here. Everything is in this central bubble. And once you leave, you graduate, the world gets so much bigger. You got to go different places. So it's about trying to utilize the resources we have here to prepare you for what it's going to be like. So it's not always going to be show up down the hall and your food's ready for you to get on your plate. So whether that's bringing someone in to talk about meal planning or cooking, it's just exposing our student athletes to resources that are outside of the realm of what we're doing right now.
Gotcha.
That's the strategic part. It's new things. Like, what can we do that we haven't done before to help you be a better person
in the future? Gotcha. Okay, interesting. So you kind of mentioned this on the networking side. What are some tips for student athletes who are starting to think about life after sport, you know, their career after football, baseball, soccer, whatever it might be?
I think it's using your name and your brand. Everybody talks about NIL and trying to get marketing deals and get money and things like that, but it's like, I'm reaching out. I'm a member of the basketball team here in Nebraska. Like, the chances of me having the Nebraska email, having my picture on the internet, so the probability of someone reaching back out to me is much higher than someone reaching out from some Hotmail or Yahoo account. So I think it's just leveraging that into meeting people and always putting your best foot forward in school and sports, because the more accolades and more respect you have in this space, it's going to translate outside. But I think just leveraging who you are into the outside world.
Okay.
Like, don't just settle for knowing your head coach and, you know, whoever he knows and people you meet in Memorial Stadium. It's getting out in the community as a Husker, representing yourself as a Husker, but also representing Rizzo.
Yeah.
And trying to further what Rizzo can do and accomplish outside of the end.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you bring a lot of energy, you bring a lot of juice to the workplace. What are some of your like core principles, core values that you like to kind of, you know, show around here?
I think it's just energy, positivity. I had a transition as a leader between like year 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, where I was always pointing out the negatives that I saw within my team and my teammates, like to try to push us to the next level, which I think there's a place for calling out the bad. You gotta have a standard, and you have to call out things that aren't right. But when you focus on it, everybody focuses on the bad. So I think just bringing a positive mindset, and while you address the things that aren't right, you really focus and really praise the things that are done well. So it just fuels that type of mindset. Like, okay, I do this right, I do this well. It gets this type of result. Let me try to do more things like that to get those more results. So I think positivity is the biggest thing that everyone has bad days, but just trying to make the most out of what you have in that situation.
Shift that mindset to that positive thinking. Yeah, for sure. So last question, kind of a fun one. What is one thing people don't know about you?
One thing people don't know about me. If I could only have one streaming service, it'd be Disney Plus.
Really?
Yes.
So you're a big Disney cartoon guy, huh?
Big Disney cartoon guy. And if it doesn't, like, even if I don't feel like watching cartoons or a kids movie, I could always watch. National Geographic is a part of Disney Plus.
Really?
So I could always watch like a documentary on wolves or just something. Anything animals and I can do that. So Disney Plus. If I only had one streaming service, it'd be Disney Plus.
Gotcha. Well, Jared, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us today. You gave us some great insight about life after sport, your college experience, how to kind of translate your name and your brand into the professional world. So, really appreciate it, and thank you for all your great insight.
Appreciate you.